I hope they die.
They haven't yet. They haven't died yet.
Zach, didn't you own these plants at one point?
No.
No?
Nope.
They've always been Nicole's.
Yeah.
But they've been in your general vicinity. Have you taken care of them at any points?
Yeah, I would give her basil water every once in a while if I noticed it was like real parched.
You mean basil?
That was about it.
Or basil?
Yeah, Chuck would suck all the water. I'd have to water him daily. He's huge.
Yeah,
I
filled that water reservoir underneath it, and it just sucks it up.
Yeah, I know. I trimmed him though, so now it's like I'm watering him every 2 days. But when I say I trimmed him, I mean like he can actually stand now.
Oh, that's
so that's
good.
how short he is now.
Oh,
yeah,
it was the overflowing one that you had? The greenish?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave him a trim. I can give you guys a picture.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, let me send it through Snap. Yeah, he's doing a lot better. To actually able to stand. And I can actually put it on this table, and so Thor doesn't get fucked up over the basil.
Yeah.
Because he did that.
Can imagine.
Too. To add on to the abnormalities of this damn dog.
Yeah. Never understood why he didn't like the scent of basil. It might have just been too strong.
Yeah, maybe.
That makes sense. He didn't like a lot of strong smells, from what I remember.
I saw a video on Reddit today of a mother cat eating her babies. It was kind of fucked up.
That's funny as.
I'm glad Reddit's starting to be like 4chan. It's great.
I can imagine a slew of videos on all of the Reddits, the 4chans, the different.
Yeah. I haven't been on in so long. So just to come back, and that was one of the first things I saw, I'm like, yeah. No, Reddit's good.
Reddit's back to the good old days.
Thank God.
I mean, hopefully Twitter's coming back to the good old days soon.
I hope so. It's still cancerous. Like every time I go on, it just hurts.
Zach, you were making a point?
Oh yeah, I don't know what they're doing with the I guess they found out that Twitter has more bot accounts than they were saying that they had.
Oh yes. I don't know if we discussed have we not?
I think we did. We mentioned it at least.
So, but to give it context, just because I actually had a conversation with somebody the other day about this. In the final agreement that they had with Elon Musk, Twitter and Elon Musk, they said that only 5% of the accounts are bots on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's wording in there that says users, where what does that mean? Does that mean individuals on the platform, or does that mean people who are using it daily? So that's where there's a little bit of a gray area where we don't really know. And even if it is where we find that it's just active users, it might still be over 5% of active users are bots.
Right.
Which is problematic, and which might make Elon Musk pull out of the ultimate purchase of Twitter.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, but if he pulls out, he's got to pay wasn't it $1 billion? Something like that.
What do you think that means to him?
I mean, seeing as how he's willing to pay a lot more for the company, it's not much, but I mean, still, I think he'd rather let Twitter pay the $1 billion and let them go under.
Is it both ways in that agreement, or is it? I thought it was just Twitter would have to pay him $1 billion. No,
it's both ways. Whoever decides to pull out pays it.
Damn.
Well, that's hold on. Let me look into it a little bit. see if we can find any more information.
It's so crazy being up so early than I normally am that Sandra is waking up later than I am. She always wakes up like early in the morning, always before me, but now I'm waking up before her. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah,
I started waking up at 7 and it's disgusting.
I know, we're being adults. It's sick.
Look at us all waking up early. Like Nicole and I were talking about waking up earlier too. Before.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah,
great.
I wake up before sunrise now.
No, I don't know about all that, but
Yeah, no, that's up.
Yeah, no, I know.
It'll be before sunrise in like October, November.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just give it some time.
The only reason I get up this early is because of Thor, because I feel bad if he's got to like come out and then go right back in the crate like an hour later. So get up, let him out, have some fun for a couple hours, and then he goes back in the crate while I go to work.
That's fair.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
What's his sleep schedule like?
He usually is like tired out by like 11 and he's in bed by like 11:30, 12-ish.
Okay.
I've been kind of letting him stay out a little more.
Well, that's nice.
But,
yeah, you got the backyard and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you put in like an electric fence?
No, I can't.
No?
No.
No.
So if he's outside, I gotta be out there with him.
Okay.
But I keep him out of the crate more. Not keep him out of the crate more. Like he's not always locked up. But
You're saying like when you're home, he's out.
Yeah, like before work and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just so that way when you're gone for those 8 hours.
8 hours. Yeah. And then my dad comes over, lets him outside.
Yeah,
Brings him outside for me.
Yeah, so he can bond with your father as well.
So it's not too bad. And then, like I said, I let him stay up a little later too, since I'm getting home later at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So
you just want to spend some time with him at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I feel bad that he's like locked up all day because he's not like out of his like chewing and everything yet. So once he's done with that, he'll be good. He can stay out.
True. I see with my parents, we had a crate for my dog, and it was a conversation with my parents where they didn't trust my dog, but I very much trusted my dog, where it was like I could go upstairs and she would think that I'm gone and like she wouldn't do anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like she'd be fine to leave out of the crate for a while. And like we finally got to that point with my parents, but I was just like, oh, come on, she's fine. She's not doing anything nowadays.
Yeah, like I leave him out if I'm gonna be gone for like an hour or so, or I went to my dad's for a few hours a couple days ago, and left him out, and he was fine. Like he just sits on this chair and sleeps because I don't have a couch here yet, but working on that one.
Still don't have a couch?
No, we're working on it though.
I gotta see if my buddy still has the couch that he's looking to get rid of, because he's got a couch. If you're looking to get that, and he offered it me.
Not bad.
I'll
have to think about it. This is kind of far.
3-seater, yeah, I get that. But you know, it's here.
I'll have to think about that.
I could also, if he still has it around here, I could bring it into my basement and then whenever.
True.
If we visit there, if I end up doing the driving at one point, I could put it in the back of my truck.
Yeah, that works for me.
Possibly, depending on the situation. And I could always lower the lift gate and put a strap on the back, so that way it doesn't, you know, we can slide
out.
Yeah, exactly. We can extend it. Although it is fairly decent size horse.
Nice.
Right. Nicole, what's up? How are you doing? What's going on with your life?
I'm just really, really busy, to be honest. I'm almost done with like building up my real estate business and stuff. Well, I won't be done, but at least
obviously.
finish starting it off.
Yeah.
But I'm working a ton this weekend, so I can um save up hopefully one day. With this amazing economy, it's so freaking hard to save up.
Oh yeah. No, and the
Like,
bubble.
really.
It's. What are your thoughts on like the real estate bubble right now? How do you feel? Like, do you think there's a bubble? Do you think that we're actually headed towards?
I honestly don't think we're anywhere close to a house market crash. Our interest rates do keep increasing. Like the feds keep increasing it. I think they just increased it like 3 days ago again, and they're going to do it again in a couple weeks or a couple months. But I mean, things have gotten as high as like what, 14-16% interest rate, which is insane, and we're not even there yet. We're not even at 10% yet.
That was during the crash, though, right? Like at the peak, or is that like leading up to?
It was like leading up to it, yeah.
Wow.
People paid like 14%. Could you imagine?
That's insane.
You can't afford that unless
No.
you like
Like
are
that turns
rich.
your 30-year mortgage into like 100 years.
Yeah, no, it
Because
just turns your 30-year-old mortgage times 3 monthly
Yeah.
payment. That's what it does. It's insane. And if you don't pay that, then bye house. It's so sick.
Mm-hmm.
And people get messed up with what the banks like to do so that people still borrow money is that they'll be like, oh, for the first 5 years you'll have a lower interest rate, but then after the 5 years is up, we'll readjust it to the normal interest rate. So it helps people short term, but then it screws them long term. And that's what actually one of the things that led up to the housing market crash I just learned about too. So don't really take those loans unless you really know you're going to be paying 5 years ahead of time a ton of interest, like a ton.
Yeah, because anyone about to meet their 5 years now is about to get a rude awakening.
Yeah, because it's increasing like twice every month, I think. So it's like, could you imagine 5 years from now? You know?
Right. Oh yeah. No, it increased a half a point on May 4th, and then it increased another half a point on Wednesday.
Yeah. Yep.
That's insane. It increased. Yeah. You're right. Like,
so if you're going to buy a house anytime soon, it has to be now, because after now, and it's crazy now, 5%, I think 5 point something percent is crazy now compared to like a few years ago. Wasn't it like 2%? So yeah, it's high, but it's like, it's either this or 14%, or you wait for the housing market to crash. You know, and who knows how long that'll take. Who knows if it'll even happen, because we've learned a lot from 2008. Not really, but
yeah.
But
this administration's breaking
measures.
records.
I know, but there's a lot of safety measures, so maybe. But that would really suck if there wasn't a crash, to be honest, because then how can you afford a house?
Right.
No, it's very difficult to do so. But so what makes you confident that I know the interest rates, but what's to say that it won't catch up?
Like it won't go up to 14%?
Yes.
Honestly, a lot of people don't really know. I mean, I know Wells Fargo did just say that we're heading towards a recession. A lot of places are saying otherwise. I think a lot of people just really don't know what's going to happen. I think if we keep borrowing money, then yeah. But there have been a lot of safety measures from 2008. I'm not really specific, but I can look into it.
Okay. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, because the banks definitely like learned so that they don't get screwed again, because they did get screwed. And that's why they're harder on people, on lenders, especially right now. You know, but that sucks when it's just like, hey, I would like, banks are there for us, you know, like, hey, I want to start a business. Hey, I want a car. Hey, I want a house, and banks normally do that for us, but now it's like it's harder on the banks, therefore they're harder on us. So I don't really blame them, but it's a sucky situation. It really is.
Oh yeah, no, it's and a home is something that is very much, sacred to a family. It's
right, and some people say it's a human right, so it's like,
that's something. I don't necessarily. I don't know. That's a weird one. We were gonna
Imagine
talk about
thinking
rights.
you're entitled to a house.
Yeah. Are
right.
are we or are we not?
Definitely not.
So why not? Explain
Because
it.
I mean, in order to have a house, someone would have to build it. You're not entitled to something that takes someone else's labor. That's
Okay.
just slavery.
That's a very fair point.
It's the complete opposite
He said
of
the
freedom.
same with medical care too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's very fair. Where it is somebody doing a service or an act, or there's also other things involved. There's equipment that needs to be made, and there are people who are working in a factory making that equipment to put into somebody's body to save their life.
Right. And it's like, and then you're forcing that doctor to serve you, even though he's not getting paid as much because it's coming from the government and they're only going to pay so much.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So it's like,
you're going to
you
get
could be seeing the best in the nation for half the cost, but that person that's seeing you is going to be pissed about it.
Yep. And you are going to ultimately open yourself up to less people wanting to be doctors in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Less immigrants coming here and becoming doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, because why would they?
Yeah. What's the point if I'm going to be making half of what I made or what I could have made 3 years ago?
Yep. And at that point, if you were going to do that, you would have to cancel student loans because it wouldn't make any sense to go through the education that it takes to get a doctorate if you're not going to be paid sufficient to
Right.
like that's another weird.
Yeah, like don't surgeons make 300 or 500K? Like that's insane,
I believe so. I believe it's somewhere around there, and yeah, it's a lot of money, and they're doing well for themselves, and they should be. They've put it.
I know they made a lot of sacrifices, a lot of things to get to where they are, and to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
You're very up with it. You have to be very mentally clear. You have to know exactly what you're doing at all times, otherwise you can injure people.
Yeah, and they go through years of training, like years, not like months or weeks like you would for any other job. They have to be on residency and training for 3 to 5 years.
And they have to pass all of that too.
Yeah.
I remember when I went to pre-med and I was like, nope. It was quick. It was half a semester. I was like, oh yeah, this is crazy. Because I was thinking about being a psychiatrist, but then I saw I had to go to medical school for that. So I'm like, oh, okay. But then I saw how competitive it was. And I'm like, oh, I have no life.
Yep.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. But hey, they get paid well and they should.
Yeah.
It's a very tough task. But
it's almost like their salary is part of the reason why insurance is so expensive. Because you're paying for the quality of service too.
No, that's not true. Are you saying that you being able to get an X-ray tomorrow as opposed to 10 months from now is better?
Oh, I mean,
well, to be fair, hospitals are a little funny with that kind of stuff, overcharging
they'll give those
and shit.
things out like candy.
That's fair. And I mean, with some things it is definitely overcharged. But I've seen certain arguments that say the opposite, where it's they kind of break down everything that goes into why it's priced out that way, and everything that goes into.
Oh, I'd like to see those.
What?
I'd like to see those.
No, exactly. Where it's like, oh, that actually put it into context where it's like, oh, you're breaking it down to say this costs this much, this costs that much, this, and that. It's like I can see where all of this is adding up now. You know.
I think there is a law that says that they have to itemize their bills or something.
Yes, exactly. They do.
In Colorado is only at like 6% compliance right now or something like that. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. That's an awful, like.
Yeah, that is awful.
You should want to be honest with the people that you're selling to. You should want to be an honest brand and say.
You should always be transparent. You should always be transparent.
That's why there's such a big push for people, for social media companies to release the code, to release, stuff like that, so that way you can see what their algorithm is, what, I know it's not necessarily connected, but it's, people want to see the truth. People want to understand what they're seeing nowadays, because at the end of the day, we don't know. We now know enough to know that we don't know what we're seeing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is funny, I would say. It's kind of like living in a matrix right now. It's like we're all waking up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do notice that a lot of people are like, hey, something's not right here. And I think a lot of people our age too is like, hey, I can't afford to live,
Right.
And that could just be economic collapse. Ultimately.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, these policies really screw us over.
Yep.
Or, hey, we're sending all this money to Ukraine, but yet we're suffering. Now, granted, we're not going through a war. I get that. But it's like,
war
this
is
sucks.
in our economic policy.
You know what's really annoying? We're not in a war, but they're acting as if we are. Like they're spending money like we are.
Yep.
It's like, why are you spending all this money on Ukraine when we have issues of our own to solve? Like, can we solve our own issues first?
I saw a video. Are they still doing the COVID lockdown in China? Like, there was a guy trying to leave a 30-story building, and he was crawling down, and he almost made it, but somebody took him from the window. So it's like, are they still doing that COVID lockdown right now?
That's fucked up.
They did. Shanghai aims to end COVID lockdown. That's an article from 4 hours ago.
Oh, that's good.
Shanghai to end.
People are probably being a little too unrested,
Yeah, but I do believe that Shanghai is still in lockdown. Because Reuters released an article yesterday that said Shanghai takes baby steps towards ending COVID lockdown.
Yeah. And the other stuff in the news I'm seeing is all about guns, of course.
Yep.
Well, apparently there was a shooting in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Well.
Yeah, so of course they have to, like, this happens all the time.
Is it racialized yet?
Let me see. It's on ABC News, so probably. Most of the victims were in their teens or early 20s. I don't see anything about race here, but we can, let me see.
To what officers initially on the scene who were armed with long guns themselves did not rush into that classroom, instead deciding to wait for a full hour for the SWAT team to arrive.
They waited for a SWAT team to arrive, even though there were officers. Oh.
That's what they did in Texas at that school.
Yeah.
They waited 40 minutes to go in, and they were like tasing and like tackling parents that were trying to run in and save their kids.
Exactly. But they were running in and saving their own kids, which I found insane.
That is sad.
It's just, how are you detaining and arresting parents? We're not, let's call it just detaining. How are you
doing their job?
Yeah. How are you detaining parents trying to save their kids from a school that's being shot up? And while you've got your colleagues taking out their own kids and making sure that they're safe while not going in and getting to the gunman. What in the hell is going on there?
Right. And why was the
And-
school's back door left unlocked?
Yeah, every school I've been to, the doors were always locked. Always.
One entry point, and that's how my school ended up being towards the end, where we had one entry point. You can only go in this way, and we have guards like around the other ones, but like those aren't real guards. They're like 80-year-olds who don't even have any sort of weapons whatsoever.
Yeah, you're right there. I had one like that too in one of my high schools.
It's like, I don't trust you to stop a shooter. I don't trust you
Right?
to stop somebody with a knife.
Well, I did have a police officer patrolling my school, which was really nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You feel a lot
Got to
safer.
know every kid and stuff like that.
Was it the same police officer, or was it like just
It was always the same guy.
okay? That's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean,
my
we
school had a
in the
lady
one
like that,
high
too.
school. In my one high school, there were 4 stories in this one, and that's the one that he was in. So he was just walking around. You never knew like his schedule, so he was just always around.
What kind of gun would he carry? Would it be a Glock?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever the police carry. Yeah, he actually had a gun on him and stuff. It was nice. I felt safe.
That's good. But yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff like that throughout the past couple of weeks of a bunch of parents showing off, not showing off, but like showing pictures of what their entry point looks like inside of their kid's school. It's a person standing there with an AK, full body vest on, says he's a combat veteran. I'm going to go with, I believe that, just because it's, that's a position that combat veterans definitely would do. If you ask,
Mm-hmm.
my assumption.
I think even just having one person like that in your building, that's enough of a deterrent to keep someone away.
Well, it's also the main entry point.
Yeah.
You can't get in any other way besides this
That
way.
way. Yeah, true.
You're going to come in the way of a combat veteran who likely, even if you are wearing a Kevlar vest, will probably be able to shoot around you. Like this guy was in actual combat,
Mm-hmm.
like, because a bunch of lefties have made the argument after the Buffalo shooter. Oh, but he was wearing a Kevlar vest. What would have the gun done? Well, if there was a trained guy there who knew how to fire a gun, I guarantee he would have taken him out.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like the reason why he went there, he literally said it in his manifesto or whatever, that he knew that people were going to be vulnerable because they only had like a certain amount of ammo that they were only allowed to carry.
Yep.
He
Because of the
literally
gun
said
laws.
that the gun laws made it possible for him to do it.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's hilarious because he also
and-
wrote about communism in there too.
right. And how he's an extreme communist.
Yep.
And how he hates the right and conservatism.
Yeah.
See, I'm glad to be hated by that guy.
Right. Like,
Yeah, me too.
Doing all right, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, but they're now protesting outside of the NRA gun reform convention. Yeah, the
Yeah, of
NRA
course they are.
convention. Yeah. So they're like protesting outside of it because of
NRA.
what's been going on. It's like, it really does make me think how much of this is planned. I know that these shootings are sick, but it really does make me wonder how much stuff is planned, or maybe it's not so much planned, but more so what's brought into like before midterms and before all elections.
It's that,
I've been noticing
Oh.
a pattern.
but it's
yeah,
also,
100%.
but it's also, why do they all follow a very similar path of was flagged by the FBI,
Political view.
stayed on an FBI list for X amount of time, got taken off the FBI list, purchases expensive AK-47, even though they're usually dirt poor, or steals it from their family, which is also dirt poor tends to be.
You got a point.
And
Like,
then,
they seem to just continuously fail, the FBI.
well, yeah, it's why do you keep taking these shooters off of their list? Like, maybe it's a permanent list, and maybe we need to be a bit more specific about who we're putting on that list.
Right.
But why does it keep happening where they get taken off a list and then they proceed to do a violent action of mass proportion?
Yeah, like right after.
Right, like the guy that shot up the Tops literally the year before threatened to shoot up his high school. He was investigated by the FBI.
Yep.
And nothing happened to him. Nothing. And so, you know what happened? He was like, oh, well, I'm definitely not going to be stopped by the government, so I might as well just do something else. Like, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
It's really just pathetic. Like, why are we paying the government this much money to spend this much money just for them to not do anything?
See, there's supposed to be, we had a war on terror. They were supposed to be stopping terrorism in this country, and what would you call any of this besides that?
Right.
And it's never talking about like the mental health of these people. It's always always the guns.
Yep. And I saw Sal, the statesman. He put on his story the other day about how when somebody gets into a car crash, you don't blame the car, you blame the driver who was acting like an idiot.
Right.
You blame we need to look at ourselves and look at the mental health scare, because we've had guns for 243 years, but we've only really seen mass shootings start occurring from 1999. After
what? Take responsibility for ourselves and check on our own mental health? What?
I think that the news media is one of the biggest parts in that, where we glorify these shooters so much on TV.
We sure do.
Anybody who's got a thought of doing this, an inkling, they're like, wait a minute, I keep seeing all these different things happen. Like, they should be presenting it to the news, and it's like, it should be somewhat, I don't want to say hard to find, but it shouldn't be as easy as every single place that you go, it has to be in front of you. Because you're just glorifying these people. You're just making more of an incentive to, like, because that's what they want. They want some fame because they didn't feel it throughout their life. They didn't feel love. They didn't feel worthy throughout their life. And this is their way of chasing that. It's insanity. Like, and us, and what we keep on doing, like, there were many criticisms of how we reported on Columbine because we really practically did glorify what these people did. It was just, yes, of course, it's all these terrible people, but that's all that you see on the news, and that's all you see. So if a kid's watching it, that's what they see. It just gets in their memory, and it's dangerous.
Right. And with everything going on, us being separated, being locked down, there's less face-to-face reactions. Thankfully that's getting better now. Finally.
Absolutely.
We don't know how long, but the fact that we've been isolated from each other, and social media does play a part in that. Like, studies, countless of studies really do show that it does increase your anxiety. And there's just so much going on. There's so many issues. There's so much being put in people's faces, making life seem a lot scarier than it is, or that everybody's out to get you, that everybody wants to kill you, like white people and black people. Like, I see it a lot with them too, and it's really sad, because it's like, if only you knew. Like, if only you knew, most of us don't want to hurt you,
No, exactly. Like, there's no one to hurt anybody by doing. Like, we're trying to protect people. We're trying to make sure that people have an ability to protect themselves.
I hate that they take these tragedies, and instead of leaving them as they are, tragedies, they turn it into a politics debate.
Oh,
Right. Or they only see one way as the only way to solve the issue. And it's like we will never create enough laws to control evil. Evil does not obey laws,
Evil doesn't care.
Yeah.
People are going to do whatever they're going to do, and they're going to find whatever they need to be able to do that. Whether that means getting it from illegal immigrants coming across the border, or anyway, you can getting it off your friend who just did something, or going down to the street corner and getting a gun that doesn't have a serial number on it, or even 3D printing those guns nowadays. Like, you can get anything anytime. And now, like, once you ban all guns, like, that's literally what it's going to become. 3D printing. It's going to become border crossers.
Illegal. Yep.
Just everything is going to become illegal. And it's that.
Just look at the places that ban guns. How do they still have shootings?
And how do they still have more rising shootings? Just look at all of the states that have, or all of the cities that have the most stringent gun control laws in our country, and then tell me what the gun violence rates are there. And tell me how they've gone down at all. Because they haven't.
Honestly, after talking to so many people, including Zach, it does make sense at the end of the day to arm as many people as you can.
Absolutely.
To be honest, so that when everybody says, oh, well, that doesn't work, good guy with gun doesn't work, look at police. And it's like, police respond to an issue. Whereas if somebody's already in the issue, and it takes like 15 minutes around average for police to respond and get there, already there's so many casualties. But if we have people that are armed, good people, it does make a lot more sense.
It doesn't have to be everybody. It's whoever wants to, but anybody who really wants to and is mentally fit to be able to should be allowed to have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
It's insanity to.
And there's so many myths. Like Andrew, I used to believe that we had automatic guns here, like machine gun kind of stuff. And I was like, well, we shouldn't allow that. And Zach was like, we don't. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's all about how fast you can pull the trigger, not about the gun actually shooting on its own.
Right. And, actually shooting a gun yourself too also puts you in that perspective of how much power is in there, how much respect.
Right.
No, exactly.
Like, I also see videos of people like, oh my God, look at all these people with their, like, I will never feel safe in Texas. Look at how they open carry. I don't feel safe around them. I'm like,
I feel pretty safe.
What? I think these people are just scared of guns, or they've been so sheltered.
Yeah.
Like, really sheltered.
I'm more scared of gun violence here than I would be in Texas.
Yeah.
100%.
We live in.
It happens more illegally here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just happened. It happened in a mass form a couple of weeks ago. Like, that could happen at any place, and we got some crazies around here. We got crackheads. We got people who you never know what they might do around here. Like, you'll see them if you come by, but it's just, you never know. Anybody could walk into any place and do anything. We are, for the most part, an unarmed populace in Buffalo.
Well, yeah, that's because they make it so hard to get a gun in New York State.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
but somehow all of the shooters can get one, but not the citizens that just want to protect themselves and their families.
Right, and just to get a carry-on, I have to, in my specific town in Buffalo, I have to get references from that specific town, and it's like all my families everywhere else.
Jesus.
So it's just like, that's just incredibly, honestly hard. I can't have my 3 references unless I live in the same town as them. And even if I were to move to a different town, like I have people all the way in Tonawanda to Orchard Park to Alden to South Buffalo, like they're everywhere. So I don't have 3 family members in this tiny town I'm in.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. So, I mean, I could possibly be a reference, but
Right. That's about it. That's about it, Andrew. That's about it.
and now that Zach moved away like an asshole, he can't be a reference for you either.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't think he was able to be a reference with him living with us anyway.
Oh, okay.
They can't even
Yeah.
live with you.
No, it was so restrictive. I could probably ask my neighbors, but I'm going to be moving again soon anyway. So hopefully,
Yeah.
I think, so I think I'll be moving closer to one of my family members. So, well, we'll see. And maybe it's different in that town, but this town specifically wants you to have people within this town. So it's like, what the hell?
I think it should be within.
It's like, I want to carry on from my real estate stuff when I do open houses, just in case,
Yeah, so you
it's very dangerous.
in there causing some mayhem.
Right. Like there's so many safety precautions. They actually recommend that if we do an open house, we have somebody else with us. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It's kind of sick. I didn't realize how dangerous it was. Like the statistics and what people go through. It's insane. Squatters.
Yeah. No, I support the woman's right to choose which firearm she wants to own.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
No.
See, we're all about choices here, guys. Choices. But is there any?
So it's just, I hate that it's all over the media, all of this gun stuff, because it's like, oh yeah, perfect timing to push a narrative. Now I get it; these things have happened, and it's terrible. But so many things happen. It's almost every day, and it's like it's just whatever's being put in the spotlight. And as somebody with a psychology background, it's sick. It's really sick to me.
Oh, exactly. It's going by whatever draws the most. Whatever pulls the most heartstrings, whatever makes you feel something, whatever makes you feel like you've got
it's also kind of sickening that they pick and choose like what ones to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like
exactly.
The guy that went and shot up the train in Brooklyn, you heard about it, maybe a week, 2 days at most,
I don't even think it was a week. 2 days sounds about more like it.
The guy that went and like drove through that Christmas parade or whatever holiday parade it was, never heard anything about him.
Nope.
And killed so many kids too.
I don't think Biden even addressed that.
No, it's like it's sickening. And the only reason you hear about the ones that are more recent, like, you're hearing about them because it's a shooting, a big shooting. But look at what they all have in common. It's just a white dude or someone that looks whiter going in and doing this stuff. Like, it's always the only thing that gets blown up nationwide is if it fits their narrative, and that's it.
Oh, exactly. And it's hilarious because I don't want to say hilarious, but I saw many news outlets were like, we don't want to share the information of this shooter, the one in Texas, because we don't want to glorify mass shooters and this and that. But they put the dude who shot up the Tops face all over.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, isn't the guy who did the school shooting in Texas, he's not even I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I have to keep Thor entertained here too.
Gotcha.
I already forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind.
Yeah, it's just if you pay attention to the differences between these events and the similarities on the other hand, where it's these lined up in very similar manners, the actions were very similar, but the coverage is very different. you start to ask some questions. You start to realize certain
Right.
other things that they do with other news media, with other coverage of different stories.
Right. Like you see how unfair it's treated. Like a tragedy is a tragedy. Like you don't pick and choose what ones you cover. If you're going to cover one tragedy, you cover all of the tragedies.
Right.
You know?
Could you imagine like the Tragedy News Network and they just cover every single tragedy that goes on? And it's just like,
I mean, CNN is pretty tragic.
it is. And it's just their depiction of everything. It's just absurd. And I just love it. It's great. I wish
It's so biased.
It is.
it's my favorite. It's the most trusted name in news.
So trusted that their subscription service only had 10,000 subscribers and had to shut down.
I forget, is it longer or shorter than Nina Dobroveski's run at Ministry of Truth?
Oh God.
I do think theirs was longer. But I mean, I think that's because the one lady Nina was getting all sorts of threats on top of like just people making fun of her.
Yeah.
Which
Aw.
there is one thing I will never support. It's violence or the encouragement of violence against someone who you don't agree with. Like
Oh,
just because you
right.
don't agree doesn't mean that they deserve to be hurt. You know,
And
like
honestly, yeah, I don't really agree with people protesting outside of people's personal homes, like public people.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because like it's like this is their personal home, their wife and kids or their husband and kids are here. Like why are you making it seem like they can't even leave safely? Like that's a threat. I don't know, I see that as threatening. I hated it when they did it to Cuomo. I hated it when they did it to the justice team, you know, like it was
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
personally don't agree with it. I mean, I agree with protesting, but there comes to a point where it's like, why are you doing it? Where they feel like they can't even leave the house.
Now I will say if it comes down to something like in terms of like where you protest, if it comes down to it, like if they block off like, you know, a block perimeter around like your capital or something because they heard about your protest to where they're literally not letting you have like access to your rights, oh, absolutely go to their house.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if they're not letting you protest where you should be protesting, then go where you're not supposed to, you know, like because if there really is something that needs to be protested, and I'm not saying like everything needs to be protested at this person's
everything
house.
needs to be protested.
Well, currently, yes. But like, you know, with the whole abortion thing, oh well, they set up a block perimeter around, you know, the Supreme Court. So even if we were to go protest, what good would it do if they're not even going to see it? You know,
Mhm.
then I would say, okay, so maybe go protest down the street from their house, like not out front of their house,
Yeah.
but like maybe in their like on their street, you know,
As close as you can without actually being there. I get you.
right? Because at the end of the day, like Nicole said, like they're probably not there. One, it's probably their wife and kids at home, or you know, husband, kids, whatever.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously the kids would be at school, but you know, and maybe the other person's at work, whatever. But at the end of the day, like that's their house. Like you would want to go home at the end of your work day and feel safe.
Yeah.
Why can't they have
Exactly.
that? You know?
Exactly. And
Yeah, they shouldn't even make restrictions in the first place on where you protest. Now, how do
Right.
you guys feel about like protesting in the streets, like blocking traffic? Because that's happened a lot.
no,
I think it's stupid.
I think so
you get
too.
ran over, you get ran over.
Yep.
Yeah, because
That's
that's
just a
not a
speed bump.
place where you. Yeah. Oh my God, Zach.
It's just cars exist, and everybody knows at this point that cars exist. And if you're going to be
Right.
protesting in the middle of a busy street that you know people are still traveling down, that you know is not crossed off, that's not this or that.
Yeah, if it's not crossed off, then what the hell are you doing?
And it's also if you're hopping onto these cars, because there were many videos of that where they were attacking the cars that were trying to get through because
Yep.
they had
Yeah,
to
I've seen
work,
those.
or they had to do this, or they were like a 90-year-old driver. Like, what else are you gonna do? You know?
Mm-hmm. Right. that was something that I saw. Like these protests aren't really protests anymore. Like,
They're
well,
not.
from one side, they're not. And sometimes from both sides, they're not. You know, obviously both have their moments.
January 6th, the greatest protest ever.
But anyway, all you see on, like, you know, TikTok, YouTube, all of like these conservative commentators, like they don't even have to go out to try to find the content because it's just right there for them. Like if you just go to where these protests are, you're gonna get good content because all it is these people attacking just random people walking by. Like I saw them harassing these old people just trying to cross the street. Like one of them was on a walker and they were like standing in the middle of the crosswalk, wouldn't let them pass, screaming in their face, touching them, getting physical with them. And it's like, this is a 90-year-old couple just walking down the street, probably trying to get to a cafe to have lunch together before they die. Like, and you're just standing here screaming in their face, like touching them, putting your hands on them. Like, what is wrong with you? Go back to your protest and protest what you came here to protest.
No, exactly. It's just being dicks at that point.
Right.
It's like if you're silent, then it's violent. And it's just like, no, it's not. It's what?
Right. Like you can.
That is the most absurd thing ever. Silence is violence.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Like you can support something without being vocal and violent about it.
Or radical. Radical is a great word for that. And radical on both sides, but radical about the situation you're in. Because me as a person who's middle ground, I'm like, well, let's talk about it. Let's like get both points. Let's talk about it. But people are like, no, we gotta fight for this, or no, we gotta fight for this. It's end all be all. It's life or death. And it's like, what the hell? No, like let's talk about it. Let's make an agreement. It might not satisfy you 100%. It might not satisfy them 100%, but let's get somewhere. Let's stop screaming and actually listen to each other.
Right.
It's tough.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Because there has been a radicalization on both sides, and it's tough to get back to.
Well, the division.
Yeah.
The division does that easy.
Oh yeah. The most unifying president hasn't done much to bring us together. And we knew they were going to bring in a bunch of liberal, crazy socialist policies. They were going to do this whole Build Back Better plan, New World Order BS. And the only way that they were going to provide unity was to censor anything that was opposing them. That's their form of unity. And that's what we've got.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
No. It's stupid because it's like you see it every 4 years. You see it every 2 years with each election cycle. And the same people vote for the same people every time. It's like, are you really this fucking stupid? Like, do we really need to start doing like IQ tests to vote? Like, do we need to actually start like hunkering down and saying like, no, in order to be able to vote or do anything, like you need to pass like a civics course in high school or something? Like, because at this point, like, what are we doing?
Are we going to do affirmative action with vote IQ testing?
No, absolutely not. If you can't make it, you can't vote.
Oh, Jesus. This is going to be the most ruthless thing in our lifetimes. At least to the liberals. The next great divisory objective. Yeah, no, but it's like, it's just annoying because it's like, how do you see every 4 years the same stuff happening? Yeah.
And every 4 years, they always say it's getting worse and worse. So you have to re-vote me in, and yet nothing changes. Because then 4 years later, somehow, instead of getting better after voting them in, it got worse again.
But at this point, who's the alternative? Like, where do you, like, I think that's a big issue of it too, where a lot of, up until recently, with this America First movement, it's been hard to find politicians that actually stand for you besides these guys who stand for a few of your issues.
Well, I think what the main issue is people think that in order to be a politician, you have to have been a lawyer or you have to have been in politics in some way. And it's like, that's not
Right.
necessarily true. Like, there's tons of people out there that I'm sure would make a great fit for a politician who would put his people first that he's representing or that she is representing.
Trump, greatest president ever.
And so it's like, they might not be a politician. They might not have gone to school for political science. They might be your local HVAC person. You know, they go through and repair like your AC and your heat. Like, it might be someone like that.
No,
But
exactly.
what makes their experience any less valuable than the person who went and read law? Like, anyone
Right,
can
and-
read a law. It
They don't
doesn't
have-
take
And-
a genius.
You and I both know that even if you were to learn everything in like political science and everything like that in class, the education system sucks.
Right.
Like,
They're
it
only
really
teaching you
does
what
suck.
they want you to know.
Exactly. So it's like you're gonna lean a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Try and skew your thought and your processes to.
At least I've seen it with every political major I've seen. Like, they've always been biased.
Oh yeah, political science majors are. Any poli-sci major I know is like a socialist Democrat. I know a few conservatives,
Yeah.
but like just practically all poli-sci kids are liberals. Communism.
Mm-hmm.
Go Marx. Leave.
Woo woo. I actually know people that support that too, like heavily. And it's just crazy.
No, they go home at Thanksgiving and they share all about their good marks.
Of course.
That's great.
Yeah, but I think
and
we
it's
really
like-
need to move past it. Like, you
Yeah, and
don't
people
need
think that there's
degree.
only one way to fix something, or there's only one, like, this is the solution. But I don't think there is a solution. Even with capitalism, it's just like it's everything's got their own flaws. There's no perfect
Right.
thing. Otherwise, we would have it. And if there is a perfect thing for, like, maybe for communism, it's perfect for the government, but not for the people. Maybe.
No, exactly.
You know, but it's
works
like
well.
it still doesn't work.
Yeah, and the hope is that the government will provide enough for you to live a sustainable life, and we've seen that it's not necessarily true. That doesn't always happen. And it almost never happens with communists.
Right.
Is there anything else you guys want to add before we wrap this episode?
I don't think.
Yeah, no, I
Anything else you
don't
wanna talk
think
about?
anything else.
Well, if not, I hope. No?
No.
Yeah, no,
Well-
I don't have anything.
Okay. Well, if not, I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. I hope everybody who's watching enjoys their possible day off on Monday, or I don't know, maybe have to work, and I'm sorry about that. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Zach and Nicole, for joining me again this week. Even though Zach's miles away, we were able to get him on the Zoom, and we hope you like this video format. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe down below. Thank you for checking us out. See you
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.